I've said before that states trump skills, and I'll stand by that. It's not an easy one to articulate, though. I've also said that we need skills development, strengths development in order to get to those states. If the pressure's on, we'll often kind of sink, if you like, to the benchmark of the skills that we have. So, for example, I find it a lot when I'm presenting online. If something goes wrong, I can still get to that. I don't drop completely out. I'll just drop to that level of skill. I might not have the state right then, get a bit flustered, a bit confused. Something's not quite working. So there is that, but ultimately, yes, state will trump skills. So if you want to do something really well, you need both. You need skills in there, probably some strengths in there, and certainly the right state of being, to be in the right state for that online presentation or whatever it might be. But then I realised, well, that's all very well and good saying that, but that surely there are skills that are relevant. And it got me thinking. I was asked to do a piece of work about leadership states, and I was looking at this kind of framework, if you like, for want of a better word, and we're going to talk about the mindset of leaders, the environments we work and create, virtual and physical, and the social side. All good things that, again, I've posted on before. But it made me realise that actually there's some skills that we just probably all need to consider prior to get to this framework, right? And I've got quite a good metaphor, I think, for this. So I think there's a few. I think organisational and personal values are a great skill to draw upon. Now, I use the word skill carefully because sometimes they can be state-based, okay? But let's call them skills, at least at a starter level. So develop those skills of the organisational corporate values or certainly, there's always been and to your personal values. So that's probably number one. Well, not necessarily in that order, but that's one thing to think about. The other thing I think is really important is performance management, particularly in the leadership role. But if you're not in a leadership role, think about goals and feedback, classic Leadership in the 1 Minute Manager, which is a book about micro thin, but incredibly powerful. Think about, are we giving and getting enough direction, feedback, goals, etc. So I think that's the other skill we must have in our locker. And I think the two others, one is the kind of whole self-leadership versus traditional leadership. And you don't have to be in a leadership role to do that. Of course, you can lead yourself without being in a leadership role, but how do you perhaps lead and support others as well, which is really important. And then I suppose if I think about the last one then is the phases of performance, just to be aware of those. So you've got the struggle phase, you've got the release phase, flow, 4 of them, and recovery at the end. So the idea being that rather than just jumping to this framework or model, which yes can develop state, there's a few skills and strengths you'll need to pick up along the way. And the thing that got me thinking in recent times, whatever that means, but I'm talking pandemic times, I've seen a massive increase. Something that really interests me is people climbing mountains. So obviously living in the UK, and you hear these stories of people who've never been near Snowdon and Ben Nevis, the big mountains, etc., and they just rock up. On one level, it's brilliant. Staycation, you're exploring your country, you don't have to go off overseas to find these amazing places. But of course, a lot of them were turning up, they weren't equipped. So it's the same metaphor, really, if you like, is that they've got this map, guidebook, or perhaps not even that, they know where the car park is. So they've jumped to this state or this leadership framework, but they've taken a shortcut. They haven't packed the right gear, they haven't got the right fitness, they haven't got the right clothes, they haven't checked the weather. And the same thing, we've got to check in and have this development of skills and strengths as a benchmark, and then we can think about, not consciously, because sometimes it'll just crop up. You'll do something and it's like, wow, that was good, didn't know I had the skills and strengths for that. But you got in the right state of mind, state of being, state of body. So I think it's really important. So probably 4 skills, bluntly, if I can put it like that, at least to start with, to think about, to have in our locker all the time. And then we can press the boost button, the performance button, and have an amazing time. And you can have an amazing time on these mountains, but you just need to have a few more skills and strengths up your sleeve or perhaps in your backpack.